how do you know all this stuff?
I love it. Scott in Illinois writes, "Hey Paul, I'm an avid fan of your blog and YouTube channel, but I don't remember you ever mentioning where you gained your extensive knowledge of audio, speaker, and circuit design." So, yeah, how the hell do you know all this stuff? Reminds me of my little grandkid Henry's. "Papa, how do you know that?" You know, just always challenging me, which is great. I love it. Great question, Scott. No, I don't typically talk about that. As many of you probably know, I am writing a memoir. It's called 99% True. I'm pretty excited about it. The writing is really hard. I mean, this is, 200-page memoir, starting when I was a little rat, going up through my Army days, my hippie dope smoking days, and how I got started, and how, so all of it's there, all the crazy stories, drinking lizard blood. I mean, just every stupid, crazy thing I ever did. And I put it all into a book. It's pretty funny. And I hope you'll enjoy it. I've been working pretty hard on it. It's been more than 2 years now. I've been through multiple editors. Richard Leonard, who's the editor of Stereophile, was the final editor on it. He did a great job of making it sound like I can actually write. So thank you, Richard. And now it's done. So it's gonna go to a final copy editor. But that said, where did I learn all this stuff? Well, I learned pretty much by the seat of my pants. I am not a schooled engineer. Though I can engineer and design rings around most engineers, when it comes to this subject of power amplifiers, preamplifiers, and analog circuitry. And I've done this for going on half a century. And I started out, a brief thing. I started out, my father was an electronics guy, and he designed a whole bunch of stuff. And I kind of, a lot of that rubbed off on me, and I was always interested in it. At one point, I became fascinated with synthesizers, and I determined that I was going to learn everything about how a musical synthesizer worked. This is back in the days of Moogs and ARPs and Putneys, and they were all one-note wonders, just voltage-controlled keyboards and whatnot. And I learned how they worked. I learned how to design a voltage-controlled oscillator, a voltage-controlled filter, all this kind of stuff. And it occurred to me that at the time, it was kind of a shame that musicians couldn't play with all 10 fingers. And no one at the point had ever designed something that fixed that. So I came up with the idea of basically a multiplexed keyboard, and then to it, I added 10 voltage-controlled oscillators, multiple filter, all that kind of stuff. Basically built 10 synthesizers and made it available so that one keyboard would accommodate all of them and assign note selectors to whatever was available. You could hit up to 10 notes. It was called an infinitizer. And, I did that through self-study, through experimentation. I had a number of great mentors, PhDs in electronics, and so a lot of personal tutoring that helped me along the way. I learned audio as a disc jockey. I worked in studios for years. I've been in the recording business, worked with Giorgio Moroder, who is a very famous guy. He actually invented disco, if you will, discovered Donna Summer. It's a long story, but Giorgio and I and my wife Terry worked at a place called Musicland in Munich, Germany, which was Giorgio's studio, and he and I were going to be partners. He was going to build a studio for me, and I was going to be his main guy for doing the kind of work that he did at the time, and that didn't work out. I got in a little bit of trouble with the Army. The Army and I didn't get along, and I got thrown out of Europe, which is where I was going to stay, and did that. I could go on for hours, but you'd have to be pretty hard-pressed to do something and be around all sorts of smart people for 50-something years and not have some of it rub off on you. So, this company was started in 1974. I started it with my partner Stan Warren in my living room, and I've designed every product that PS Audio's ever made for, oh gosh, well, and Stan, of course, I'm sorry, the two of us designed it. I designed a number on my own, Stan did a number on his own, and then now we have an entire engineering staff of which, I've got to understand all of this stuff in order to sit in the engineering meetings and make decisions. So thankfully, I don't have to design every bit myself, and I don't know how to program my way out of a paper bag. And a lot of what we do today is coding, really, C, C++. It's just, I never studied programming. So I'm just really good as an analog designer. I can design amongst the best of them for analog audio. There's my resume, boss. Oh. If you need anybody, give me a call. All right, thanks. Bye.